the people of Sodom and Gomorrah continued doing business as usual. And what was their business? Eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. Now, word must have gotten around about what Abraham was doing, because there was no way in the world that Abraham could have conducted the extensive search that he did without persons being alerted. And yet the people of Sodom and Gomorrah chose to conduct business as usual. And what was their business? Eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. They were on the very eve of destruction. One would have thought that after being forewarned, they would have been forearmed. And yet they chose to conduct business as usual. And what was their business? Eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. On the eve of the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah, two angels dressed as men came to visit Lot, the only righteous of God found in Sodom. A group of male inhabitants of Sodom tried to sexually abuse the angels, but were stricken with blindness. The next morning, the angel told Lot and his family, flee the town and don't look back. Escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And even as they fled to the mountain, and even as the fire fell from heaven, in spite of their repeated warnings, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah chose to conduct business as usual. And what was their business? Eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. Well, everywhere I go, I see that we spend the greater part of our time doing business as usual, eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. You see, some of us are going to lose our souls and go to hell from somebody's church kitchen. Some of us are going to lose our soul and go to hell from somebody's church choir. Some of us are going to lose our soul and go to hell from somebody's church board. Some of us are going to lose our soul and go to hell from somebody's church pulpit, because we spend the greater part of our time doing business as usual, eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. You see, some of us, we become lost in our churches. We become lost in our auxiliaries. We become lost in our departments. We become lost in our units where we can exercise a little power and control over some other folk whose thinking is just like ours. powers, and we use our power, and we use our influence to work against the leadership and pull others away from the mainstream of the church's mission. But I stopped by to tell you that business as usual is no longer acceptable. Can we say yes? If you go to some of our big church meetings and our big church conventions, and while the world is going to hell, what are we doing? Business as usual. Eating and drinking, buying and selling, planting and building, and that's all. You see, there's nothing wrong with eating and drinking. It's nothing wrong with buying and selling. There's nothing wrong with planting and building. Their main problem was all they did. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah, they became so engrossed in doing what they wanted to do that they failed to take note of what God was trying to say to them through Abraham and Lot. They failed to take note of what God was doing in their midst. Saints, we become so consumed in doing our own thing. We become so consumed in life's daily routine. We become so lost in our own little world. We are so in tune to what we're doing that we're not attuned to what God's plan and purpose is for our life. We can become so caught up in our own agenda that we forget that beyond our agenda is a divine agenda. And if our agenda is going to be of any good, it must come in line with God's agenda. God's way is the best way. God's plan is the best plan. Can we shout yeah? Can we shout yeah? Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Business as usual is no longer acceptable when injustice reigns and wickedness abounds. Business as usual is no longer acceptable when Jesus declared in his word that the kingdom of heaven is at hand. As a church, we must do more than take care of our usual business. As a church, we must do more than take care of our annual days. As a church, you must do more than take care of your annual budget, your annual conference, and your annual rallies. We are called to do more than eat chicken and drink Kool-Aid. We are called to do more than buy and sell tickets. We are called to do more than to plant our usual idea and build our usual program. But Jesus has called us to righteousness, for righteousness exalts a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Jesus has called us to holiness. We've been instructed to follow peace with all men and holiness, without which no man shall see the Lord. Yeah! God said in his word, be holy because I am holy. He's